Good
Thank you,
morning,
Les.
everyone. Good morning, everyone. We're glad you're here for this broadcast that are about special needs planning for our kids for life after high school and being prepared. I have with us our special person that I've worked with forever, Michelle Morris. And so she's going to conduct this class. My name is Tawana. No, I'm not on camera. My name is Tawana Smith. I'm a student hireability navigator for the Central Texas area. And so if you have any questions or are in my area and need assistance with anything as far as your children who have special needs, please feel free to contact me and I will put that in the chat. Again,
Thank
thank
you
y'all
so
for coming.
much, Tawana, for that warm welcome and for hosting us again. We love, love, love having our webinars with you. So today's webinar should be about an hour. So if you would like to get a drink or a snack, or if you're eating your lunch, don't worry about it. We can't see you or hear you anyway. If you do have questions or comments, though, I would love to know about those. So please put your questions and comments in the chat box, and I will get to as many of those as I can while I'm presenting. If it seems like I'm ignoring your question, I promise it just probably means I'm going to get to it. Or, I'm just kind of trying to be conscious of time. We are recording this webinar today, and we will send it out to you later on today, as well as the slides. So anywhere there's a clickable link in the slide, you'll be able to click on that when you receive these later on. Also, we have a podcast now. So if you're listening on our podcast, maybe you found it somehow and you are listening and you wanted a copy of these slides, you could just email our office. That email address is contact@cpgcares.net, contact@cpgcares.net, and we will go ahead and get you those slides. All right, so I'm Michelle Morris with Consolidated Planning Group. We help families plan for the future of their special needs loved ones. We're talking about protection plans like life insurance and income protection, and thinking about what happens on your journey through life if your journey maybe ends too soon, or sometimes it can be a hassle if you live too long and you start outliving your savings, or if you become hurt or disabled or ill along the way. What happens in those cases? We're here to help you prepare for that step and protect your family against those circumstances. Lifetime care plans, if your child is not going to be independent and maybe they're not going to be able to work, they're going to need care for the rest of their lives, and they're going to need someplace to live. And that can be quite expensive. So today we are talking about transitioning from high school to adulthood. That's what we're talking about with transition planning. We help families with this all the time. An ABLE account is one place where you can have money for your loved one. And I'm sorry, there's some spam in the chat box. I don't know how that happens, but I always delete it. Anyway, and then advocacy and education for families like yours. The founder of Consolidated Planning Group, Allison Schaberg, has two kids with special needs. And when she was going through all of this herself, she said, I don't understand why this has to be so difficult and why there's so much information out there to weed through. And it's important, but nobody knows the right things to do. Well, what we've done is we have gone ahead and weeded through all of that stuff for you to make the process easier for you. And that way you don't have to go through all the confusion that Allison did. So, interesting statistic here. In the United States, there are over 263,000 financial advisors. That's what we do at Consolidated Planning Group. We are first and foremost a financial advisory firm. along with 263 other financial advisors across the United States. But out of those 263,000 financial planners, fewer than 0.1% of them, fewer than 200, focus on special needs planning like we do. So it's very important to have an expert on your team. And that's where we come in, is to be the expert as it relates to the financial side of planning for the future. So again, we're going to talk today about transitioning and tips for launching your teen into adulthood. We quickly, a couple more things about Consolidated Planning Group. We're located just outside of Houston, although we work all across Texas and, as a matter of fact, all across the United States. We have over 30 years of experience in securities, insurance, investments, things like that. We are also members of the Special Needs Planning Academy, and we are Social Security advisors. So we have a lot, not just living with special needs loved ones, but working and living and breathing this whole thing. So it does give us a unique perspective. One thing that we want you to think about, as you're thinking about your child turning to an adult, even though they're still your baby, in the eyes of the law, when your child turns 18, they become an adult. There are a lot of different things to consider, and we want to make sure that you have realistic expectations. Facebook is great for catching up with people, but nobody puts those moments when the wheels are totally off the bus on their Facebook page. They're putting all the highlights, all the great moments. So don't compare your family and your life to others. We want you to be understanding of your child's diagnosis and understand that there are going to be challenges, but there are also strengths that come along with that. Maybe after high school, your child is going to go a different direction from most of their classmates. They might not be ready for a full 4-year college experience or any college experience. A non-traditional path is okay. There are registered apprenticeships. You can do a reduced college course load. You can choose to live at home or on campus. Maybe a trade school is better, or no school at all. Just move on to a transition program or an ISS program, which is what we used to call DayHab. Now they call that ISS, individualized socialization and success, something like that. Anyway, bolster their self-esteem. Don't compare. People tend to say something about, oh, if a flower's not growing, it's not the flower's fault, it's the sun and the dirt. I look at it as my favorite food, which is popcorn. I cook my popcorn on the stovetop, just like my grandpa showed me. And, you put the same kernels in the same oil that's on the same burner in the same pan, but they never, ever pop all at the same time. You have some that are early, a whole lot in the middle, some straggler kernels that pop at the end, and some popcorn kernels that never pop. You don't blame the kernels or compare them to their buddies and say, why can't you be like that popcorn over there? He popped up so nice and fluffy. You don't do that. You just go on with your life. And that's how it is with children, I feel, is that they're going to pop when they're ready. So when you're thinking about finding a good fit for your child, there are some things to take into consideration. Schools and colleges, if you're looking at that route, think about, checking in with their Office of Disability. They're going to have different programs available for your student. And some offices of disability are really great and they have a robust staff and a lot of programs, and others are not so much. Think about the extracurricular activities that are available and that your child enjoys. See if there are ways that you can continue those extracurricular activities that maybe they loved in high school beyond high school. Maybe they can find an internship or volunteer work in an area that they love. Maybe they could take a class about that, whether it be in college or just a community class. Those things will help your child be able to explore what they love. If a career is in your future for your child, think about a good fit in terms of their attitudes, their needs, their abilities. Maybe your child is one who needs silence to work, and they would rather not talk to people, probably listen to their headphones and sit and work and not be bothered. That's fine, but you need to find them a job where they can work in that kind of environment. It has to be a good work setting for them. So, working in a factory where everything is loud and there's people all over the place and you can't really isolate yourself might not be a good career path for your child, or vice versa. If your child thrives on excitement and having a lot of people to talk to and not sitting still, then maybe, an office job in a cubicle wouldn't fit. So talk to your child about what they're interested in and help them explore their interests, but also bear in mind that their interests and their career path and their work setting need to align with what they want to handle in their life. Okay, so what about accommodations? In elementary, middle, and high school, your child has accommodations. They have an IEP, they have their ARD meetings, and that's all well and good. But what about once they go away to college? Well, first of all, what you need to know is that when your child takes the SAT or ACT, if they take it, or if they take any AP exams, college courses even, and graduate level exams, you can have accommodations for these things. What you need to do is check the requirements early with the company or the campus or the proctor of the exams, and see what they require for you to be able to have accommodations for your child. Then they're going to know what you need and why you need those accommodations. They might even ask to see testing. For example, my child needs a sign language interpreter because they can't hear. Well, that's not that big of a deal, but they might want to see hearing testing to prove that your child can't hear. And it can't be testing from 10, 12 years ago. It should be updated. Okay. So make sure you're getting any testing that you need done, updated about every 3 to 5 years. FERPA, this is a form that many colleges use that you and your student can sign. And they're basically signing off saying that, yes, the school can inform the parent about certain things, maybe grades, attendance, financial aid. All of our kids want us to talk to the school about financial aid, but they might not want us to know so much about grades and attendance. But the FERPA form will help you there. Colleges, they just don't really want to hear from parents at that level anymore. But a lot of times, especially with a student who has an intellectual or developmental disability, the parent has to be more involved. Okay, so another thing that you can consider is getting a power of attorney and a healthcare power of attorney for your child. And this also goes for neurotypical students and aging family members. If something happens to an adult loved one in your life, you need to have these forms in place to be able to speak to doctors, schools, nursing homes for the elderly, family members that might be out there. And it just makes good sense to sign this piece of paper that says, if your child or your loved one becomes incapacitated, that means, they can't speak up for themselves, something has happened to them, then the doctors and nurses or staff or whatever it might be can speak with you about what's going on. I have one of these for my son. He's 22 years old, but he lives in Chicago. So if something happens to him, there's no guarantee that I would even know about it. But if something does happen, I have a power of attorney saying that the doctors can talk to me if needed. And I made sure he put my phone number on his refrigerator too, so that his roommates know how to get a hold of me. Anyway, the second part of this page, the lower half, is talking about when your child is in the workforce. So in the workforce, reasonable accommodations do have to be made for workers, as long as it doesn't pose an undue hardship to the business. For example, you can ask them to designate some more handicap parking spots. That's not that big of a deal. Can you ask them to renovate the entire building? Probably not. Putting in a wheelchair ramp on the front of the building, not that problematic. Can you make them move to a different location? Probably not. You can check the Department of Labor website and the Job Accommodation Network website. Again, these links, when you receive the slides later on today, you can click right on them to find out more about accommodations in the workplace. Okay, so what about educational programs beyond high school? There are a lot of great programs out there that are at different colleges, but are not necessarily the same as going to college. These are programs that might give your students one or two classes at a time, or let them test the waters, or maybe rather than a full-on degree program, these are classes that are more focused on employment training or life skills or things like that. So we don't work for any of these companies. They don't work for us, but these are just some of the options that we've heard about. And we have many, many more. If you're interested in a full out list, we could provide you with that. But we've done other webinars where we have, 2 and 3 pages of these educational options beyond high school. We don't have enough time for that today, but I do want to help you out by telling you about Campus Connections. Again, we don't work for Bloom Consulting, and they do not work for us. We don't get any referral, reward, or kickback or anything like that. This is just a program that we know of. They support neurodiverse college students, either at school or virtually. And your child can be going to any school for this program. They use a planning process called the Berkman Method Assessment, to come up with a support team for your child and a plan to help them succeed. So they get a coach, and they might do mentoring, guidance, navigational support. It really helps empower your student to problem solve, to be able to stand up for themselves a little better, more effectively and efficiently solve their concerns, and learn to self-advocate. This does cost about $1,000 a month private pay. If you are in the VR program and this is part of your plan, then they can help you pay for this program. It is possible. So the contact information is here about Bloom Consulting. And you can also like I said, talk to your VR counselor about this. Thank you, Heather, for putting information about Alvin's program called Strive into the chat box for everybody. Okay, so when you're thinking about special needs planning, what are we talking about here? So there's several areas that I want to kind of cover briefly about special needs planning. So first of all, there are differences between a special needs planner and a special needs attorney, and you really need to have both on your team. A special needs planner like Consolidated Planning Group, we're going to help you with the financial side of things, understanding your benefits from the government and from the state, like SSI and the waiver programs. We help you understand the cost of care in the future and get life insurance in place and figure out how you're going to fund your special needs trust, making sure that you're going to have enough for your retirement, plus taking care of your child. Whereas a special needs attorney is an attorney that's focused on helping you with the legal aspects. They're the paperwork, we're the money. So they're going to help you with a will, special needs trust, power of attorney, guardianship, if guardianship is in your future. That sort of stuff has to go through an attorney, and we can refer you to one if you would like. You want to build a team of experts that are there to help you plan for the future. You know, you have your medical experts on your side, you have educational experts at school, and you need other experts who can help you plan for the future. So we would like for you to gather up your documents. That's the first step to planning, because you need to know where you are to figure out how to get where you want to be, right? So gather up all of the documents related to the planning you've already done. Legal documents, savings accounts, investment accounts, life insurance that you already have, maybe through work or private, long-term care, disability insurance, all that kind of stuff. So we can kind of take that chaos and condense it into something that is understandable for you and easy to look at, easy to read, and easy to understand where you are and where you want to go and how we're going to help you get there. One thing that you might want to consider doing is writing a letter of intent. This is a document. It's not necessarily a legal document. It doesn't have to be submitted to the courts or even notarized. It's just something that you write to somebody who might need to step into your shoes to take care of your family. If you have a binder, you know, where you keep your documents, this would be a great thing to put into that binder. You want to talk about your child's strengths and weaknesses, their diagnoses and medical history and who their doctor is, what plans you have in place for their future, who is going to take care of them once you're gone. All of these types of things that, you know, if somebody had to step in because you were unavailable, how are they going to manage that? And this is something that will evolve over time as your family evolves. What I would do is write it on my laptop, print out that version, and then update it probably every 6 months, every year, see what's changed, and then print a new version as needed. And then consider your vision for the future. What do you want your future to look like? And what do you want your loved one's future to look like? There's a lot to consider, and a lot of possibilities out there: educational options, vocational options, residential options. What do you want the future to look at? Because if you don't know what you want, we can't help you get there. All right, so thinking about and developing a future care plan now is always going to be the best for your child and for your family. It doesn't matter if your child is getting ready to turn 18 or is 18 months old. Once you start thinking about these things, you're going to get the ball rolling. It's going to help you sleep better at night because you're going to have some questions with answers finally. And having some clarity, whether it's, oh, yes, we are exactly right on track already, or if the clarity is, well, at least now we need to know that we need to do A, B, and C to get there. Some things we help with: how much money do you need to fund your special needs trust to make sure that your child is adequately cared for in the future? We can help you with that by doing a future care cost estimate. We can look at how to maximize your Social Security benefits so that your child, who will be drawing off of your Social Security record, gets the biggest benefit that they can possibly get. It might not make that much of a difference to you if you get $200 extra a month on your Social Security, but for your child, that can be huge, and they're going to get that benefit for the rest of their life. So it really does add up, and it's important that we get the most that you possibly can from Social Security. And then think about what is going to happen to your child once you're gone. There are fantastic residential communities out there where your child can live and work and grow, make friends and thrive. And people love being there. So these are great communities. You need to look into them. Find something that would be a good fit for you and your family, in terms of location, in terms of who they serve, how much they cost. Do they take waivers, or is it private pay only? And look at, of course, if they have a wait list, because we would hate for you to find just the right spot and think, okay, next month we're going to get going and move our child into this fantastic location that we found, and then you find out that they have a 5-year waiting list. Wow, that would stink. So ask about waiting lists early, just to save yourself that disappointment. All right, don't forget, put your questions in the chat box, and I will get to as many of those as I possibly can. So let's talk a little bit about funding your child's care in the future. When we look at the cost of care, let's say that maybe your child needs full care for the rest of their lives. They need 24/7, they need a residential community. We can help you look at, what does that community cost right now? And then we run the numbers to figure out, after inflation and after, they have their cost increases over the years, how much will that cost in the future when you're actually ready to send your child to a community? And then once your child gets there, maybe they're going to live there for 10 years or 20 or 30. Who knows? We want to look at, how long is it going to cost over the full time that your child might live in a community like that? Well, I'll tell you, the answer is usually in the millions. And you're thinking, how on earth am I going to come up with millions to take care of my child? Well, that's where we come in. The first step is to make sure that you don't do anything that will jeopardize their federal and state benefits, because that's a pretty big benefit. For example, with SSI right now, you could be getting $914 a month. And there are adjustments, cost of living adjustments and increases almost every year. So $914 a month to your family right now might not be a huge deal, but again, to your child for the rest of their life, it is a big deal, and it's going to help them pay for care. So don't do anything that's going to jeopardize that. You can establish a special needs trust. That's one place where you can put money for your child and save it there, and it will not affect their benefits. You can put your current life insurance and any other assets like investments, bank accounts, all of that, leave it to the special needs trust. Okay. Don't leave it directly to your child. You can also have an ABLE account that will help save for your child's future. An ABLE account is more short term, it's more save to spend. It's very similar to a 529 college savings account. That's a 529C. This is a 529A, and ABLE stands for Achieving a Better Life Experience. So as long as it's something that will allow your child to achieve a better life experience, you can pay for it with the ABLE account. Now, there are limits on how much money you can put into the ABLE account. It's $17,000 this year, and then they can put in extra if your child is working, up to $13,590. But you never ever want your ABLE account to go over $100,000. So with an ABLE account, the beneficiary actually owns the account, but again, it does not jeopardize their SSI or Medicaid or any other benefits. You make your contributions. Anyone can contribute to this account. And those contributions are invested wisely, we hope. They're invested, it earns income, and that income is tax-free. So that's the benefit of the ABLE account. That and the fact that the government doesn't count it against your child for benefits. Unfortunately, you cannot deduct your contributions on federal income taxes. Some states will let you deduct those contributions, but since Texas doesn't have a state income tax anyway, the point here is, irrelevant. Again, there are limits on what you can put in every year. So with a special needs trust, and we're kind of shifting a little bit here. Another place that you can have money for your child would be in a special needs trust. That will help you preserve those benefits. But it does need to be set up through an attorney. An attorney will also be required to set up guardianship if you need that for your child. That process, you can start guardianship when you're within 6 months of your child turning 18 years old. So you do have some time there to get things going. It doesn't have to happen the very day they turn 18, you have the guardianship in place. But you do, if that's right for your family, you do want to get the ball rolling on that. And like I said, having a qualified attorney do that for you is key. So before I go into transition programs and residential programs, I want to quickly highlight the major differences between an ABLE account and a special needs trust. And people often ask, do I need both of these things? And if I have one, why do I need the other? So I just want to clarify this for you. With an ABLE account, you have limits on how much you can put in, but you can use that money for pretty much anything you need for your child. It doesn't affect their SSI unless the ABLE account goes over $100,000. So a limit on how much you can put in, but fewer limits on what you can use it for. The special needs trust, you can put as much money in there as you want. There's no limit on how much money you can put in. However, if you use that money for food, shelter, utilities, cash, things like that, paying a mortgage or rent, then their SSI will be reduced by 1/3. So limits on what you can use it for, but no limits on how much you can put in. And ABLE account is the other way around. Not so much limits on what you can use it for, but big limits on what you can put in. So just keep those things straight. And again, if you have questions, we are here to help. I do see a difference in the, I see a difference. I see a question in the chat box that is asking, what is the difference between guardianship and conservatorship. The difference is what state you're in, because it's pretty much the same thing, but different states call it different things. So guardianship really is a legal document that states that your child, even when they're over 18 years old, is going to be treated legally as a minor, and you are going to be treated legally as their guardian for even though they're adults. So as a child, if they're a minor, you don't need this. That's why you don't do it until they're getting ready to turn 18. Thank you for the question. Okay, so each of these are links, and I have put in a lot of time and effort to try to make sure that all of these links work. I put the name of the community and the town that they're in. If you're going through this, later, once you receive these slides and one of the links doesn't work or it goes to the wrong place, please, please, please send me a note and let me know so I can fix that for the next time I do this presentation, okay? But there are a lot of great transition and residential programs listed out here. Brookwood in Georgetown, Marbridge is very popular. Reach Unlimited has a great program. The Hub in Houston, just all kinds of great things that you can look into. If these locations are not in your area, we do have, like I said before, a lot more that we can put you in the right direction. We can point you in the right direction. All right, we're wrapping it up. So now is the time. If you have questions, please bring those into the chat box. Otherwise, I might be able to give you some free time this afternoon. This link will take you to our website, to all of our upcoming webinars. And you can register. We do 2 or 3 webinars every week on topics that are helpful for special needs families. Like I said, we're here to educate and advocate for families. And so anytime you have a question, we are hoping that you'll reach out to us. You can register for the webinar, and then even if you can't attend it in person, we're still going to email you the link to the recording and the slides. So I do hope you all signed up with your real email addresses today, so you get those resources. Okay, so these are some of the other things that we want people to keep on their radar, things that we help with. That special needs care plan we've spent a lot of time talking about today. The future care cost estimate. We can help you look at the cost of care for your loved one, and we can weigh that against the benefits that they're receiving and come up with a number that's left over, weighing out the cost of care versus their benefits that are going to help pay for some of that. Then what's left over for you to have to pay? We can help you come up with that number and then help you figure out how you're going to do that. Programs like the waiver programs, those waiting lists are long, but we can help you make sure you get on that list and that you get the waivers that you need to help you waive off the cost of some of the care. SSI and SSDI are different Social Security benefits that your child will be entitled to. We can help you understand how that works, when it happens, how it happens, all of that kind of stuff. I am going to copy and paste Tawana's information in the chat box again for everybody, so that if you want to reach out to Tawana at Workforce Solutions, she's the one who introduced me, and she is so wonderful, amazing at what she does. Okay, so we can, again, help you set up that ABLE account, help you understand beneficiary designations. So you want your life insurance to be left to your child, but you can't leave it straight to your child, or else that will jeopardize their benefits. So how do you leave money to your child? We can help you figure that out. A special needs trust is another way to keep money for your child. like I said, with those beneficiaries, you can make the trust the beneficiary, but you will need an attorney to help you set that up. A quick note about the special needs trust is that if life insurance, if child support is a thing in your life, and you're going to have child support beyond age 18, which is common for special needs families, you're going to have that child support redirected to a first party special needs trust. And that is because after your child turns 18, the child support is going to be counted as income for them, and therefore their benefits would be cut off. So that's a no-go. That's not good. And it needs to be a first party special needs trust because it's their own money. There is a Medicaid clause to that first party special needs trust, but it's better than missing out on benefits altogether. Start touring those residential living communities. We have done panel webinars where we have several of those communities come on and tell us about themselves. You can check that out on our YouTube channel. And guardianship, that can start, again, like I said, before your child turns 18, but it does require an attorney. This is our team. As you can see, we are a small independent firm. We are located just outside of Houston, and we have over 30 years of experience. This is actually Allison's 30th year of being in financial services. And it's really not fair because I feel like she must have started when she was just a baby to look that young, but that's the truth. So Allison and Jeff are in Sugar Land. There's my glamour shot and my husband, Andy. We're in Missouri City. We've got a great support staff who helps us with all of the day-to-day operations. Someone from our team will be reaching out to you. So please think of these smiling faces, and, all it takes is a simple no, thank you. But we are calling to see if you would like to schedule a free consultation with us. During this consultation, you have the opportunity to pick our brains as your special needs planning experts. Ask us any questions that you want, and then we'll tell you about how we work, what we charge, those kinds of things. So again, our first job in this consultation is to answer your questions. It typically takes between 30 to 45 minutes, and it's over Zoom, so you don't have to travel or find care for your child or anything like that. You can use the QR code to get straight onto our calendar, or you can call us or email us. But like I said, because you were so kind to register for this webinar, you did give us your email and phone number, so we're going to reach out, but we don't bite, and we won't bug you if you just say no, thank you, I promise. If you would like to follow us, I would love that. Our YouTube channel is here where all of our webinars live. Our Instagram page gives, and our Facebook page, they give great helpful articles and tips, and we advertise our upcoming webinars on those platforms. And then there's our podcast where the audio, in case you don't want to watch the webinar, you can listen on the podcast. And again, I just want to say, if you're currently listening on the podcast and you want a copy of these slides, just email us, contact@cpgcares.net. Okay, so I am a little early in wrapping up. If anybody has any questions or wants me to go back over anything, I'd be happy to do that. But really, the easiest thing for you to do is just schedule your consultation with us, and then you can ask any questions you want to in private, not in front of this group. It will remain confidential, and we're here to help. All right, well, I don't see anything else, so thank you again. Thank you, Tawana, for hosting us. Everybody have a fantastic day.
Anybody have any questions about vocational rehab services, please feel free to contact me in order for your kids to get in on our summer employment services that VR can offer our kids, such as help with college and things of that nature. So if you're not sure of vocational rehab, definitely reach out to me and I can get you with the right workforce area where there's someone that can assist you in the process of getting vocational rehab services
Wonderful.
with disabilities.
Fantastic. Thank you all so much. I look forward to hearing from you soon.
Take care, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.